Most people are shocked to learn that back pain is now the #1 cause of disability worldwide. Nearly 8 out of 10 adults will experience back pain at some point, and many will continue to deal with it for years. Yet our healthcare system continues to hand out the same solutions over and over again: pain pills, rest, injections, MRI scans, and eventually surgery. And when those don't work, the fallback advice is almost always the same: you just need to strengthen your core. If that worked, we wouldn't have millions of people still suffering. The truth is, core strengthening by itself does not solve back pain. In fact, when done at the wrong time or in the wrong way, it can make things worse. So today, I will share with you my top 3 core mistakes we see every day that keep people stuck in pain when they are doing all the things right. So the first thing is, order matters. So we always say mobility before stability. If you do not have the mobility piece, how the joints move first, you're not going to get stability back. I'm going to give you some examples. So when you have, let's say, knee, if your knee does not have full extension, you can't get the full extension in your knee because of something that's happened. That knee, you're going to lose stability. You're going to stand up and the knee is going to give away on you because you can't fully get that stability because of not having that full range of motion. Not any different than if you have a bicep and you only have this motion through here, you're only going to get strength through part of it. So if I can't move my back into back extension, guess what? I'm not going to be able to get my glutes to fire. I'm not going to be able to get my back extensors to fire because I don't have range of motion to be able to make those fire. So then you're going to have this imbalance. And so if you don't get the mobility back, then you're not going to be able to get the stability. So if you're trying to go after strengthening, the order of how we do things matters. And getting down to why something is not firing, it's not always the back. It could be coming from somewhere else. It could be coming from your thoracic spine. We always say where the side of the pain is often not where the source of the problem is coming from. And so we've got to figure out these pieces of the puzzle to put them together before we can even get into core strengthening. So the next one is the imbalance. So because of you have an imbalance of the joints not moving, then you're going to also have an imbalance of things being able to fire and take over. So what we find is glutes, so many glutes do not fire, especially those hip extensors, back extensors. So everything core takes over, and core in the front, not core in the back. And so when you have this imbalance, it's going to make you overuse things, which then is going to tighten things up, creating even more of an imbalance because you can't even move, probably first of all, to be able to even stretch things in the front, to be able to get the joints to move, to be able to get certain muscles to fire. And so when you have this imbalance, it creates more fibrotic tissues, more wear and tear. So you can get a lot of issues in the front through here. You can get a lot of issues in the back because things aren't being used properly. And when that happens, you're gonna have overuse of muscles, which will create eventually some wear and tear and some fibrotic tissues that then creates even more stiffness. So it just kind of feeds on itself. So we've got to solve all these problems first before getting into any kind of core strengthening, because you're not going to be able to fire something that's tight. You're not going to be able to fire something that's shortened. You're not going to be able to fire something that you can't move through. And so I always kind of describe a muscle like a rubber band. It contracts and relaxes just like a rubber band would. Now, if you go in and you tie knots in that rubber band, it takes so much more effort to get that contraction. And so when you have overuse of things, you're going to get some adhesions and fibrotic tissue from overuse as well that just feeds into the process. So when people come in and see us, we're pulling out layers and layers and layers. It's not about just doing, if you do this, you're going to feel great. It could be. It could be a really simple fix, and that's great. We have a lot of videos for simple fixes, but when people have been dealing with this for a long time, usually there's layers of things that we've got to look at because of mobility issues, because of tissue that has shortened, because of imbalances between how we use our muscles from the front and from the back. And so these are all problems that have to be addressed before we can even start any kind of core strengthening program. So the last one is believing that core strengthening will fix everything. So another thing that we have to look at is, what are you doing daily? Because if we don't fix some of those things that we're doing daily, I don't care how strong you are, it's not going to work. You could be the strongest person, but if you go and you pull your finger back, that joint's not going to like it. And if you hang out there day after day, year after year, it doesn't matter how much strengthening you do to that joint, around that joint. If you're constantly pulling it back, you're going to have joint problems. We've got to address these things. So if people are sitting and that's a part of what's giving them problems, then we need to address how they sit, and we need to come with a game plan how to offset that. So I'm going to give you an example. So we've seen many dentists that have come through here, and we've had to go to their office and adjust how they do it. They have to work in positions that are there for hours. And so if they do this day in and day out, by the time they get into their 40s or a little bit beyond, they start hurting. And they're like, oh my God, am I even going to be able to do this job anymore? Yes, you can. Because we go in and teach you, okay, if you're going to be in these positions, then we've got to go and take you out of those positions and stretch it in a different way so that everything can kind of start moving, so that we can get to core strengthening of doing activities. So if we don't have a game plan around some of the things, like I don't care how strong you are, if you're in these positions and this is how you're having to work, you're going to have problems. And we have to address and offset some of those problems. Not any different than when people love to garden and doing those kind of things. Gardening, you are bent forward, and a lot of times that puts a lot of pressure on your back and you can't tolerate it. So we come up with a game plan on how you can do it. Doesn't matter how strong you are. If you're in these positions and you're in these positions for long enough, your joints will start adapting and start having problems, and those are the things that we have to address before we can even get into strengthening. And so again, I'm going to go back to order matters. If you're doing things out of the wrong order, it's probably one of the reasons why your treatment for your back is not working. We have a systemized plan of how we go through things and figuring things out, ruling things out to get to the source of what's really going on. And once when we do that, and we figure those pieces out, then we can start working on some core strengthening. But if someone goes in and tells you core strengthening is what we need to start doing, when you go into their office, it's the number one red flag of, I need to go to a different place, because we've got to figure out why this is happening before we can get into any kind of core strengthening. So these are the 3 mistakes that people make all the time that need to be addressed before you can even go into any kind of core strengthening type activities. So if you've been strengthening your core, stretching, doing yoga, Pilates, working out, and your back still hurts, there is another layer to the problem that has simply not been addressed yet. And when you get the order right and understand the imbalances and retrain how you move every day, pain finally starts to resolve. If you're tired of dealing with back pain, feeling stuck, or wondering why nothing has worked yet, we can help. This is what we do every day, all day, helping people get to the root cause of their pain so they can get back to walking and exercising and traveling and sleeping without the fear of flare-ups. Comment below or go to the description to schedule a free discovery visit to talk with one of our specialists. This is a simple conversation, no pressure, just clarity about what's going on and what to do about it. You don't have to live with back pain, and you definitely don't have to just strengthen your core and hope that it goes away. There's a better way. Let's get you started. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, as we put out content almost daily on this channel. If you want to feel 40 when you get to the age of 60, this is the channel for you.